Hi guys, my name is Adeja Adebowale and it's the best sporting show in the whole of the universe. It's still new season to sports. We have the guest that we don't see often around today. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. Controversy at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal defeating United 3-1. A whole lot of action. Jude Bellingham can't stop scoring. We have a new Zidane on our hands. And of course, Martin Odegaard looks to be destined to leave Arsenal pretty soon, if you ask me. I don't know how it's going to happen. And of course, Guardiola with the back injury does not stop City amidst their controversial win against Fulham. These are more we're talking about when we start the show. I'll allow the guests to introduce themselves. I'll start with Olawale. Olawale, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Hello, sporting fans around the world. It's been an eventful weekend of football. VAR
Doing that thing again. Okay. Yeah, Olawale, I think we lost you for a second there. Okay, TG, you can go ahead and introduce yourself then while we wait for Olawale.
Okay, good day, everyone. My name is Olatunja Beshin. It's been a beautiful week. Lovely, sporting activities all around. Football. The US Open is on, and it's been very exciting. It's good to be here. We hope to give you a very good show today.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, guys. Olawale, when you're back, please let me know. Just interrupt me when you're back. So I can know you're back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead now. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah. Hello, sporting fans. Hello, sporting fans around the world. Welcome to the show. It was an eventful weekend of football. VAR and England cannot stop giving us things to discuss about. The City second goal was something that it's been in the news it's been in the news since yesterday. But again, I'm just surprised that it wasn't as discussed as the penalty called in the game between United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Was it because that was United or otherwise? Arsenal United giving us one of those, their classic, typical United Arsenal game. Welcome to the show.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that, Olawale. Just before we move into football, because I know most people they just want to hear about football. But then the US Open is happening right now. And honestly, TG, I'm tired of Novak Djokovic. I'm tired of him. It feels to me these days, it feels like Novak just does that thing intentionally. Like it gives you two ahead. Okay, win the first two sets. I'm still gonna beat you. And you repeated that against that Sabian. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired of this guy. Anyways, he's playing right now. Zverev is Alexander Zverev has qualified for the next round. Medvedev has qualified as well. Yannick Sinner has qualified for the next round. Hadi Rublev has qualified as well. And of course, Kalito Alcaraz defeating Dan Evans. That's straight set 6-3, 6-4, 4-6, 6-3. He won against Dan Evans of England. That's just about it for the US Open. And currently, I think Coco Golf and Kachi, you can help me look this up. I think as of the last time I checked, it was 2 set apiece.
She's true now.
She's true. Oh, nice. Yeah. So Coco Golf has gone through, and Sabalenka has gone through as well. Okay, nice. I just got the update. Coco Golf rose into US Open quarterfinals. Nice one for Coco Golf. And of course, we allow the AC Milan guy to introduce himself. And guys, Kachi is not late. He was the first year, so I'm not going to knock his also today. Kachi, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Debo. Good to see Olatunji here after a few weeks of his absence. Always a pleasure being here. The two Milan teams in the city of Milan are pulling their weight early in the season. But after the international break, we have the first Milan derby. We'll get to see who really becomes at least the front runner in the Serie A. Olawale is here, so I would not say I will not say anything about Manchester United. Even Roy Keane did not say anything about United when ETH was interviewed post game. But it looks like there is trouble in the Manchester United paradise.
All right, perfect. Kachi, I'm going to just stay with you, and I'm going to start with you on this one because since you started off with the Syria, and I know we talked about this behind before the show started, pre-production call. Inter Milan, AC Milan, they look prime, and like you advised us last season, you told us the problem with AC was the lack of squad depth. But I look all over the pitch these days, and there's massive squad depth. The failure from Real Madrid, Luca, is with AC Milan right now. Juro does not look like he's hold, as a matter of fact. So don't let's just give all the kudos to Zlatan and Ronaldo and the likes. Juro is killing it right now. I think he has 3 or 4 goals right now.
4 goals in 3 games.
4 goals already, yeah, exactly, in 3 games. Christian Pulisic is killing it. Yunus Musa is killing it. Noah Okafor is killing it. You know, and they lost the best brain in their team in Sandro Tonali over the summer. We thought, okay, it might be a big one for them, but it doesn't look, they're not fizzled at all. And there's depth. Rafael Leao is probably one of the best left forward in the whole world. One of the best. I'm not saying it's the best, but one of the best, definitely. We still have Chukwueze. Sorry, Chukwueze, of course. The Nigerian from Villarreal. Squad depth. And you look on the flip side, on the blue side of Milan as well, they are still firing on all cylinders. They were the runner-up in the Champions League last season. Looks everything is taking shape right now. Dr. Martinez is doing what he knows how to do best. He's playing with a smile on his face. The divisive element in the dressing room in Romelu Lukaku is gone right now. And I'm sorry to say that I love Lukaku. I love him so much. But he's a divisive element when he's on fit, he's throwing tantrums, you know. And you look both ways, like, oh, these are prime teams to give us a tantalizing episode of the Italian Serie A.
Yeah.
Rudy Garcia, I don't rate him so highly. So he might not be able to do what Spalletti did with Napoli. So I'm not expecting so much from them. But because they kept a core of their team as well, we could see a 3-way horse. And of course, maybe Juventus would do what Juventus know how to do best. But who are you tipping, if you are to put it based on a percentage, within those four runners? Juve, AC Milan, Inter Milan, of course, Napoli, the defending champion. How would you rate them from what we've seen so far?
Okay.
In the league?
After 3 games, I'll be too biased if I don't give the slight edge to Inter Milan. 8 goals, 3 games played, 8 goals scored, none conceded. Tells you that there's some form of defensive solidity that has come in since they almost stubbornly stuck to playing a 4-3-3 formation now, because they don't have a ball-playing goalkeeper anymore right now. So the ball gets cleared out with that famous Italian discipline that we've always known. That being said, I would give Napoli a 45% chance to win the championship as second favorite. Yes, I knew they just dropped a goose egg losing against Lazio over the weekend, but they are the defending champion. And to your point, they retained, by and large, the nucleus of the championship winning team from last year. AC Milan comes a very, very close third. And the reason I think Milan will compete better is it's not necessarily that they have quality all over the place. It's the fact that there is quantity now. The goal scoring chances are not now solely lying on Rafael Leao's feet. In fact, he only got his first goal in the 3rd game of the season, simply because other people have been picking up the slack. Pulisic chipping in there, Theo Hernandez doing what he does best, Giroud continuing from where he stopped in the latter part of the season. What did AC Milan in last year was when Giroud dipped in form, Rafael Leao had that 6 or 8 weeks absence, and there was no reliable, I'm not saying like for like, but just be reliable for once. There was no reliable replacement in the bench. Now, Pulisic is playing a fluid number 10 role, but we know that he likes the left side of the front three. So even if Rafael Leao has a dip in form, Pulisic can fit in there. Luka Jovic needs to resuscitate his career. We talked about how players who were struggling in England and Spain have managed to come to Italy and
And
somehow picked it up.
resuscitate.
We do
Yeah.
know it's because the Italian league is slower. We know that. It's probably the slowest out of England, Spain, and Italy, if you have to look at it that way. So it allows players who need an extra 2 seconds to think, it gives them that extra 2 seconds, an opportunity they never get in Spain, they never get in Italy. Ask Sandro Tonali how he's coping now that they kicked all his legs away. Of course, I'm still pained. But all that being said, I still think Inter poses, especially when you look at how they finished the latter part of last season. I think Inter has started very well. Their true test obviously comes after the international break, but I think it's a 3-horse and not a 4-horse race.
For us.
Juve has started well, but they have not played well enough to convince. There's been moments of inspiration. 7 points now from 3 games, but they will have that occasional slip. Now, the likes of Okafor has not started. The likes of Chukwueze has not started. Those are dependable squad members to have because the season will be long. As long as you want to play Champions League, play Coppa Italia, and fight for the league, you need to have a very wide squad. And I think that's why this year we would get a better. It won't be over. Let me put it this way: the league will not be won in February in Serie A this year.
This year. All right.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And of course, the Serie A, Lazio defeated Napoli. The important result, 2-1. Defeated Napoli at home. Inter Milan defeated emphatically Fiorentina 4-0, and of course, Juve defeated Empoli 2-0. Lastly, I'm going to come to you. I was watching the game of Real Madrid, and I'm not a Madrista, but if I say I'm not concerned for them, and I've expressed this concern from the start of the season, and Olale will allude to this, is the fact that I don't see quality beyond the midfield in Madrid. I don't see quality up front. They started Rodrigo and Joselu up front. The back four looks good. The person's, I think it was Fernandez Garcia, or Rudy Garcia of I've forgotten Fernandez Garcia that played the left back. Like, okay, Cavera, the regular thing. But on the bench, it wasn't so. I don't see that fury coming out of it. You know, everybody, we are happy that Jubilium is doing what he knows how to do best. You know, he's scoring goals and all. But it's a long haul. Mbappe is out of the picture right now. Do you think it's reasonable? And honestly, I think because, and I know we've spoken about this on the show before, but because I'm asking you this because you're Madrista through and through. I know you understand Real Madrid like you understand your book. And I'm going to ask you, is it really reasonable the way the imbalance in the squad right now? The midfield is very solid. And I'm not going to argue with you about that. I'm playing Jude Bellingham as the first 9. How long is that going to last? Playing Rodrigo and Joselu up front now that Vini is out. Even before Vini was out, Vini was being paired with Rodrigo. Yeah. And honestly, you don't see joy in their game. You don't see joy in Vini's game. Vini prefers to be one-on-one against you, not being crowded by 2 center backs. You know, you don't see that joy in the game. Do you think it's really reasonable? And Real Madrid wants to win the Champions League. They want to win the league. What should be the general expectation?
Okay, so I think the problem is not, far-fetched. You know, when there's a saying that when an action is rewarded, it is repeated. And I think that's the problem they're having at the moment. Madrid has been able to play. I'll say it for anybody that cares to listen. Madrid is excellent in so many years past. So, it's debatable because you would say, oh, they won this. They won the Champions League. They did this. But the truth is that was possible because Madrid was playing efficient football. They've been very, very efficient. When they need the goals, they score the goals.
They get it.
You know, and they're getting results, basically. But the truth is, this centre-forward problem has been there way back since probably when Ronaldo left. they had not been able to bring in any top striker to either support Benzema. Yeah, we knew, okay, Benzema was there. He was just going to take that role and, lead the team, which he did very, very well, right?
Yeah.
And of course, he had the support of Rodrigo and Vini, which, Vini was playing the way he likes to play very wide, run in, and then if he needs to get the goals, he gets the goals. If he needs to assist, he gets the assist. However, you need to always plan for the fact that somebody is probably going to get injured or somebody is probably going to leave. So the truth is, they didn't expect Benzema to leave as when it did. It wasn't planned for. That's the truth. But it is sad that a club like Madrid waited to the point when a Benzema leaves and there's absolutely no replacement. It doesn't make any sense. What they've done in the past 2-3 years is to stock up the midfield. And that is because that has been the powerhouse for most of the success we've had in the past. Yeah, Ronaldo got all the goals and, all the fanfare was happening around there. But the truth is the midfield has actually given Madrid everything they've had in the past couple of years. They had a perfect combination. Valverde was doing excellently well. Modric was there. Tony was there. And, it was good. But the truth is, the team looks very good. I mean, they're playing very well. But the truth is, I don't see Madrid going very far with this present squad. Because at some point, these guys are not typical goal scorers. They are not typical goal scorers. So at some point, you would start to see the effect. They will start not to get the goals. The goals is not going to come as it should come. And then, it's confidence. By the time you drop 1 or 2 games, you lose here, you draw there, you're not getting the goals here, you probably don't score in 2 games, then it starts to affect the whole team generally.
Psyche. Yeah.
What I'm hoping is, they are planning for January. To be honest, I don't even think Mbappe is the guy for Madrid even now. He's a fantastic player, but the question I'm asking is, everybody knows Mbappe likes to play wide on the left as well.
Yeah.
So Mbappe coming into that team is going to create another problem. Is it that we are going to say, you're not going to bench him this
go? Yeah.
So are you going to ask him to leave? So I would expect Madrid to go all out for Haaland. I don't know if he would come. Yes, that's the truth. That's the honest truth. The honest truth is, even as of 2 years ago when they were going for Mbappe, I was really hoping they were going to go for Haaland. Because we had options wide.
Oh, that would be sick.
We had options wide.
Yeah.
We had options wide. So I didn't see the reason why
you did
it was just the poster boy thing, which everybody knows Perez likes to do. He likes to bring in the poster boy. He knows how to make a lot of money off marketing, image drive, put the player up there and get all the money he can get, which is exactly what I think he wants to do with Mbappe. You get. But that said, I would expect them to go for a typical number 9.
Number 9.
I understand that role is a bit lacking at the moment. There are not too many players in the world, that are very, very.
I can think of just 2 players, Haaland and Osimhen.
So, but the truth is, I would expect Madrid to go for. I don't think Haaland would want to leave City yet, but he has won quite a lot. I mean, he has won Champions League. He has won quite a lot of stuff for them already.
Yeah,
so maybe by next year, if the right money comes through, he might be willing to join. But I think I would prefer to see him rather than, because I don't see Mbappe coming, to be honest. He doesn't know what he wants. He's confused.
I'm see, on that Mbappe issue. Don't let's go there, because I'm always happy. At least I know I don't usually get.
And the beautiful thing about Mbappe,
it gets a combination of Kachi and Wale, but I did on that one. Sorry, go ahead.
What makes it more painful with Mbappe's scenario is when you have people who don't understand certain things handling it. I think it's a pure management issue on the part of PSG.
Yeah.
It is very unnecessary what we have on our hands right now. Mbappe had a year left on his contract, and Madrid was willing to pay 150 million.
Yeah.
And you rejected it. The truth is that at that point where Madrid was offering that money, it was not necessary. Madrid was not even supposed to offer. But I think they were offering because they understood the fundamentals and said, oh, you really shouldn't lose this guy for nothing.
For free. Exactly.
Do you understand? Because I think that's the only reason they offered the 150. And what did PSG do? You go around. You paid him more than anybody else. Because the problem is,
unnecessary money.
If Madrid is even going to take this guy now, are we going to pay him same salary or are we going to pay him more? He's already earning a lot. So it makes it difficult for anybody to even put him on their wage. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that is why Madrid is probably not even making any bid now. Number one, they are not sure if that guy is going to come. Number two, you can actually save that money. that 150 can be saved and committed to his wage, or maybe a sign-up bonus that you have an agreement with him personally, or maybe whatever bonus structure that you intend to give him. But then I think PSG has created this problem somehow. They shouldn't really be shouting they don't want him to go for free. They had the opportunity to sell him.
To sell him, and they did not take it.
Yeah.
And they've dug another hole for themselves. Mbappe is still at PSG. The transfer window is closed. We've not seen Mbappe sign on the dotted line for PSG, so we don't even know what Mbappe is gonna do. It's just crazy as it gets. Anyways, Alali. Sorry. Before I go to Alali, Madrid won against Getafe. Juventus scoring that winner, and of course Barcelona won against Osasuna. Alali, I'm gonna come to you. Arsenal versus United. Terrific game, as expected. There's hedge over the seats. We see, and of course, guys, you can go to our website, www.newsinstarter.news. There's an article about the 10 things that we learned between the game between Manchester United and Arsenal. Drop a comment and see if you agree with us or not. Olali, back to what I was saying. So, basically, it looks like another terrific game. Thomas Partey, thankfully for Arsenal, got injured. Thankfully for Arsenal fans, quote and unquote, because the genius would have done something drastic as he always does. Otherwise, Havertz was still a pedestrian in the team. We saw an Arsenal weapon of mass destruction from the bench in Fabio Vieira. We saw what the real Chelsea could do, and we actually saw what Rasmus Højlund could actually do for United with the high press. We saw a little bit of what Onana brings to the table in terms of the play. The way it becomes a 11th man, a leveled playing man. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. And I'm putting it out there, not for Manenoa, not for Medicine, not for any ball playing. Okay, maybe Fabian Barthez. Well, Barthez was just too eccentric. But maybe Fabian Barthez. But I've never seen someone that could actually start the play and make that play more prestigious. And honestly, of course, the offside for the goal of Garnacho was crazy. Whether it was an offside or not, is still under scrutiny. Depends on what side of the fence is sitting. Don't look at me that way. But it depends on the side of the fence that they are sitting on. I think it's an offside. Some people will argue it's not. The penalty definitely wasn't a penalty, the one of Havertz. But what are the major talking points from this game, Olawale? And where do you think ETH lost it? Where did you think Arteta won it?
I think at times, I think in this game, I'll probably don't want to overanalyze it because I think football is just a crazy game of if the Garnachos go have probably stood, do we probably have to look at where Erik ten Hag lost the game? So for me, I just think it's a game based on the drama that happened in the last 10 minutes. Just think the game it was a game that could have gone either side. Because if the Garnacho goal has probably stood, I'm sure United will have won the game. But again, what actually happened was Arsenal won the game, and United have lost another away game against the top 6 side. Yeah, we all knew how United were going to. So yeah, I think that's the major narrative that probably we can deduce from the game. That's 2 losses, away to Spurs and away to Arsenal now. Looking at the general play, I think probably the Tomiyasu suspension made things a little bit easier, and like you rightly said, Thomas Partey's injury probably makes a little bit easier for Mikel Arteta to probably go back to status quo and set up his team the way probably they played throughout last season, and they actually dominated the play right from the beginning. The way they were very comfortable on the ball, they created some good chance, and we all knew how United was going to play probably from the break. Like you rightly said about Onana with his ability to play on the ball, but I don't think United as a team even maximize his ability on the ball, because bar from the Christian Eriksen pass to Rashford that led to the goal, and some few have chances here and there, you hardly see much from United attacking wise or in terms of invention. But I think the biggest thing in this game was what happened last season against Arsenal repeated itself again. And I think that was the point United lost the game. Against Arsenal last season, when Rashford scored the first goal, I mean at the Emirates, United conceded, I think within 2 or 3 minutes of going ahead. This time around, they conceded 35 seconds after scoring. That was unforgivable by any means. I think that was, for me, was the point. Because when you, yes, there is this general consensus in football that you are most vulnerable to concede a goal immediately you score a goal. And I expected a better concentration from the players to have just given, for you to have given away such a precious lead away from home. Is up because just imagine the game stretching like 5-10 minutes and United will say a go ahead. Arsenal could have panicked. Some players could have been jittery. Some players could have been jittery in their approach. Psychologically, there is something that weighs you down. You scoring first and just after some few seconds conceding the goal. A lot happens during the game, but I just think that for me was an unforgivable point for the United team as a whole. You don't do that as a team. When Arsenal equalized from that point, I just felt like it would be very, very difficult for United winning this game. But again, I think there are positives for them in terms of Rasmus Højlund coming in the second half. Amrabat should be ready in 2 weeks' time to fortify that team. I don't think there is any need for them to panic or anyone. Of course, the United fan base is is a divided fan base at this point in time, because you could actually see a lot of people. There are some fans who probably want Onana to fail just for them to
say,
just for them to I told you so. Why did you let this guy go? And some people are still salty about the Cristiano Ronaldo case from. So the whole team as a whole is a, but I don't think they need to overreact to this. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't do much of their transfer business as early as possible. And Højlund not really ready from the beginning of season, I think probably out them in the way they want to play. Good win for Arsenal. They reacted very well despite going one goal down. And like you said, those qualities coming off the bench is something you want to see in big games like this. And I think that's one thing we criticize Arteta a lot for last season, not really giving us something different from what we know. Most of the substitutions were always predictable, like for like. Yeah. But again, this season we've been seeing a little bit of difference in terms of he's become a little more aggressive in his thinking. So good win for Arsenal. I think United just have to move on and kickstart their season in 2 weeks' time against Brighton.
All right, perfect. That's not a good one to kickstart your season with again. Anyways, Brighton is just not one of those things that you want to face, especially when your confidence is not at like 150. You've been gushing about Martin Odegaard. I'm like, okay, I've never been upset with Real Madrid until tonight. They let Martin Odegaard leave. And of course, like I said behind close, I said Martin Odegaard is still going to leave Arsenal. He's going to outgrow the team. He's going to outgrow the brand and go back to the whites. I don't know when. As long as he keeps performing at this level, he's going to leave. The biggest talking point for you in the match, Tunji. And okay, sorry. That was not my question. I know, but I did not touch this. I feel Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno Fernandes were terrible. For me personally, I think they were pedestrian. Maybe it was the kind of game that United wanted to play. They wanted to play on the counter attack or whatever. But I think they were pedestrian, especially Bruno. For a moment, I thought Bruno was not even in the game. You know, and the Bruno that we saw in January of 2 years ago, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or 3 years ago, if he's been there for 3 years now, it's different from the Bruno we're seeing these days. We need that creativity. We need you to show up in games like this. We need to make something out of nothing in games like this. not against Sheffield United and Norwich City. No, we want it in game like this. Honestly, Suji.
Yeah, so I think the game was won in the midfield. What Arsenal brought to the game in the middle was exceptional. They were all over the place, and you can as well see that. So the typical white guys for Arsenal are guys that can draw in and still play with the midfield very well. For Man United, Rashford is wide and he just wants to go wide, and then the typical winger kind of scoring. So he's not necessarily very connected to the middle of the park. And for Casemiro, you're not going to be 100 all the time and marshal the midfield and then boss your guys around. To be honest, maybe not a lot of people will be able to boss Odegaard around as it stands. From what I saw today, I mean, like I told you, that guy he has a bit of what makes it even beautiful is the fact that he's a very young player, but his confidence level and leadership quality is very, very high. He leads the team properly. So everybody playing around him is actually, if you're better than him or you're not, you are going to naturally play at that level, and that is what you want. You want to play with someone it's just like you're in a team. And so let's use Messi for example. Everybody playing with Messi right now feels like a superstar. You understand, and that's the way it is right now. Everybody played; they had an amazing game. We need to say that they had an amazing game, and they all played very, very well.
Very well.
So another thing you mentioned I would like to talk about is Onana. I'm sorry. At times I still feel like, in a lot of subject matter, I feel traditional. And it makes me feel a bit old. And I'm not really old, right?
Yeah, old, Baba.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I had it, not really. My brother, a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. You see all these playing goalkeeper. He's starting attack goalkeeper. Me, I don't understand it too. Your job is to save goals. You don't have another. What's your primary job?
Save goals.
What's my business if you can pass? It's your job to pass the ball.
Part of it.
No, it's not. Not primarily. I'm not saying it's
primarily,
not
of course.
So to be honest, it's good when you see it. So this is what let me put it properly. If you have a team that supports a system, that is when you can run that system effectively. Do you understand? So you have people like John Evans came into the game.
Oh my God!
Maguire came into the game.
I think that's when they lost the game. I don't understand.
Maguire and Evans the ball around, and then the truth is, he probably doesn't have the kind of team he has in Ajax. That could efficiently do all of these things he wanted to do. Don't forget that this was one of the problems Villas-Boas had in Chelsea. He had a way he liked to play football, but the players he had could not play football the way he wanted to play.
The way he wanted it, yeah.
And it's always going to be a problem. So now you have the goalkeeper that you want to play a certain kind of game. Do you have the exact kind of defense that can do that thing for you? And not just the first four. Because if you have the first four guys, like he started out with today, 2 of them got injured at some point, and you needed to bring in replacements. So let us assume now that the 2 starters are not going to play for the next 6 games. Let's assume. And you now need to use the guys that cannot play this system efficiently.
Johnny, you say Johnny and Lord Maguire.
And you are still going to use your football passing goalkeeper. You have a problem, it doesn't make sense. Football is about the people. Yes, the system, there should be a system. But if you don't have the right people to function in that system, then you will have a problem.
Yeah,
so
100%.
It depends on how you want to look at it, whether footballers available into the system or you want to integrate system back into the football. But personnel are very important in the long run. If you don't have the right personnel, you really cannot get the right result. And I think that's the part of the problem. Same thing up front. You still not sure, Martial, one of the conversations we raised in the group. So you could see a bit of difference when a proper striker came on board. It was physical. His positioning was different. You could see the movement. Things started shaping up a bit. It's just going to be different because that's what he does. That's what he knows how to do. The other guy is just trying because
a makeshift.
Exactly, and he's just trying to get something out of it. So for me, the game today was one in the middle. They played very well. and they got a very good. Man, you had a good chance to be honest. If the second goal had stayed, which I think was a very close call. I mean, I was pissed when I was seeing the VAR and they were showing it at an angle. And my question was, so if you show it on the side, straight line, it wasn't looking like it was offside.
Yeah.
And then they have to tilt it to one particular side to make it look offside. And I'm like, are they trying to confuse us here? Or it was looking confusing to me.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think it was very close. Maybe the rule needs to be clearer, so that we can understand exactly what it is.
What happened?
Yeah, because inconsistencies actually kills the game. Something happened at some point. So there's a new law that when the whistle goes and you kick the ball, is an automatic yellow card. Right? Anthony kicked the ball twice at a point.
Yeah.
And it was not carded. And you would see that the Arsenal player was careful to suggest a card because he knows that if he suggests a card, he gets a yellow card.
He gets a yellow card, yeah.
But the referee didn't yield. So when you have, and I think it's a function of the law, when these rules are not clear enough, then it becomes a problem. Because I think that should have been a yellow card to Anthony, actually.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Kachi, I'm going to come to you. I'm coming for your juggernauts right now. Aston Villa looks like they are back and they are what I saw of Liverpool today. Again, Aston Villa are high flying. They are not on the low.
Yeah.
If they were on the low, it would be understandable. They are high. They are trying to okay, let's show them the Emery way of game.
Yeah.
But I saw, and I know we discussed this for a very long time last season, that the problem of Liverpool was the fact that they were overtly dependent on their wing backs, Robertson and TAA.
Yeah.
But we saw solidity, creativity, expertise, ingenuity, magnanimous players in the middle of the park. That's Sibosia. They should have like 40 million extra million pounds on that guy. McAllister for 35 million pounds for McAllister is definitely steal. It's definitely a steal. It's like a robbery, an armed robbery. Daniel Nunes, he lost an empty net again today, of course, but he had 2 assists. Coming back to the shape. You see Yogo Yota, you see Gapo on the bench. And I'm like, I'm convinced that Liverpool is going to give anybody a run for their money. Unless they lose Salah. If they don't lose Salah to the oil-rich Saudi Arabians, I feel they are there. They are one of the teams to watch out for. Definitely. Catch you.
Without a doubt. We all knew last season looked like an aberration. Forms dropped everywhere, injury happening. Even our very good VVD looked like he forgot how to play football last season. I know he got a red card in the game against Newcastle, but it's touch and go that foul. Yes, he probably got it because it was more of the last man than the fact that it was a cynical tackle. But all that being said, I think one thing I appreciate Liverpool for was the fact that Klopp has not tried to hide under any form of excuses. Every time you hear him speak, when they play badly, he tells you, see, we're playing badly. I've pushed these guys for the last 4 years. But they've managed to revamp that middle without making any fanfare. Fabinho leaving, Henderson leaving, Milner leaving. And gradually, I think in their first game, I can't remember if it was in their first game, they brought Gakpo to even play in the middle 3. He wasn't in the front 3.
Yeah.
I've seen pretty much what I'm saying is there's an ownership of failure, which tells you that they have a high standard to meet up. Because the only way you know your standard is high is when you know that what you are putting out so far is not up to your standard. So kudos to that coaching team for not lowering the bar and saying this is a rebuild year for us. To really be honest, at the start of last season, we thought it was going to be a 2-horse race. Nobody had Arsenal there. In that 2-horse, it was supposed to be Liverpool and City. Now, the only reason why we are not saying it's a two-horse race now is because we don't know what type of Liverpool we'll get, you know. But kudos to them for their. I know you keep saying they don't like to spend money, Deborah. You keep saying this, but what I say is they do their business so shrewdly that it doesn't look as if they are making a whole lot of noise with it. And I'm saying a whole lot of noise because the Amrabat deal, Manchester United deal, Amrabat was ready to leave since July. And I think it was just a few millions that cost it. Now, forget Moses Caicedo. Forget who the other guys were, who on their own personally just chose that it is Chelsea we want to go to, not necessarily because
you want to match Jansen now?
I think they are just personally. I think they are lazy. I think everybody has seen the Gegen press and they just told themselves, I cannot do this week in, week out. I can't cope with this kind of demand week in, week out.
Week in, week out.
So kudos to Klopp, first of all, for not lowering the performance bar to say, okay, let me manage the players I want. Kudos also to the players who have remained to take up the gauntlet, to say, hey, what happened last season is not who we really are. They are gradually, they've not been, forget this Villa game. Villa game is probably their best game in maybe 10 Premier League games. They sneaked by Newcastle. It wasn't a dominant performance against Newcastle. So all I'm saying is they are gradually buying back into what Klopp is, the message is preaching. And I really want to see Liverpool do well. For some reason, I don't have any horse in England, but every time Liverpool does well, I kind of enjoy the league more.
We should remove him from the fan base of it. How can you forgive Liverpool? How can you forgive Liverpool?
I'm not forgiving them.
How can you like them? You are supposed to hate them.
No.
You are supposed to hate them.
No. In 2005, we imploded. That was not Liverpool winning.
You are supposed to.
Milan lost the match against Liverpool in 2005.
They broke your. That's enough for you. They broke your.
We lost the game. They did not beat us. We lost it. Okay. So I only have my team to blame. It was 6 minutes of madness that nobody has been able to replicate again. So I'm absorbing Liverpool of that. All I'm saying is I like when how what's the name of this guy that came after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? This really cerebral guy. Ragnick has been telling us since Ralph Ragnick that this Manchester United team, we might need to sell everybody and buy new people. And ETH has come in, and we are also seeing the inherent struggle. You said it now that Fernandes comes when it's a small team playing, and we don't see him in the big game. United has lost another away game to the Big Six. All these are excuses you don't hear from Klopp. That's all I'm saying. Klopp has a huge demand on his players. He puts the blame on himself to say, if my players are not doing well, it's simply because I have not prepared them well. And that is why they are trying to get back to that level. Now in United, the difference between them and United is now this current United team does not know what excellence is. So the bar is so low compared to what Liverpool is trying to achieve. If there's any team that would give City a run for their money, I don't think it's as Arsenal. I really don't think so. I still think it is Liverpool.
It's gonna be Liverpool. All right, perfect. I think so as well. I feel Liverpool is the other team to go against Pep Guardiola. And I'm sorry, I don't disrespect to any player at Man City. I think it's Guardiola that plays. It's Guardiola. He just feels those players. It's just Guardiola. So whoever I think you are fighting against, pray that Guardiola leaves. When Guardiola leaves, maybe we'll have a level playing ground. Guardiola is the Messi of coaching. It's the man that has revolutionized football. That's why someone and old cat like CG is like, what is happening? Guardiola has turned everything upside down. So everybody wants to do it the Guardiola way. And that shows the but I'm not here to apologize Guardiola. I think I'm falling in love with Guardiola. I like the way he talks with his bad English. I'm going to come to you right now. And interrupt me just to know that you're here with me. It's Spurs and Burnley. Burnley definitely will be relegated as long as company keeps playing the way it wants to play. He wants to play the right way. Yo, you don't have the personnel. This is Premier League. It's not EFL. I don't think he understands that. And before he understands, time will have been far spent. So they will be in relegation battle, definitely. But I want to talk about Spurs and what Engel actually brings to Spurs. And I want you to just oppose it with what we have with your friend, your amiable friend.
No, he's your friend. You were the one defending him last season. I told you Spurs last season when it seemed that lacked coaching. I said it at every point. Everybody was bashing Spurs. Yeah, they were not ambitious enough. They were not giving him players. They're not doing this. For heaven's sake.
Yeah.
See, the truth is this. I won't let you lie. The truth is this. When a team lacks basic coaching, it's obvious. Yeah. Spurs throughout last season, if you check most of their games, the first 15-20 minutes, the team lacks direction. They lacked like identity. Most time until when they probably concede like one or two goals. That's when you now see that sense of urgency coming in. And I said it, I look at the score. At any point in time, I understand that you need quality. I won't probably be an hypocrite and say, okay, probably a coach doesn't need to sign good players. But at the point in time, we need to see your identity on the team. And for heaven's sake, I think the big problem with Spurs last season with Antonio Conte was Antonio Conte at every point in time, he did not even assess the squad and say, okay, is this three at the back the best formation for this team? Looking at the quality or the type of players I have. And for me, Carlo Ancelotti, like, there's something I've been saying about him for anyone that is privy to have access to this book, the Mixer by Michael Cox. When Roman Abramovich wanted to sign Carlo Ancelotti to come to Chelsea, because Abramovich was so obsessed with his team playing very good quality football, not even just quality football. He saw the AC Milan team and he was so much in love with that team. But what Michael Cox wrote in that book was this: that what the thing Roman Abramovich failed to recognize was this: Carlo Ancelotti adapts to the kind of players you give to him.
He has.
If you give him ball, is that what Carlo playmakers in that AC Milan midfield to come up with that diamond formation? So when coaches just want to feel like this is the system I use that work for me in Juventus or Inter Milan, that doesn't mean the same system will work in terms of formation when you go to another club. What we are seeing in Spurs is just basically a coach giving the team an identity on how what they want to do. You can't tell me that it is the addition of James Maddison or one Solomon guy or Destiny Udogie that has now transformed Spurs to what they are today, despite the fact that they've lost Harry Kane. I'm not saying they are going to win the league, but again, you can't rule them out for the shout for the top four, considering the fact that they don't have any European distraction and the League Cup is out of the way. In 4 games, they've scored. In 4 games now, they've scored like let me say 11 goals.
Yeah, they scored 2 against
2 against Brentford, 2 against United.
Yeah,
2 against Bournemouth, and 5 against. So against the teams that they know they can beat, expect them to go all out. There's a bit of an identity with the team. Of course, they will concede goal, but the team seems to enjoy them. They enjoy what they are doing. They know what they want to do, how they want to play. And Bizuma and Sarr in that deep position, they're actually providing the kind of cover for somebody like Maddison to thrive, up front. And you could see the coach himself, early season on, Richarlison didn't start very well. You could see a little bit of he made a little bit of changes, bringing Son to play in attack, dropping Richarlison and bringing down Solomon. So for me, I'm happy for them. I like it. I like it when you look at the quality they had in their team last season and the kind of football they produce. As a footballing person, you feel ashamed of the kind of work Antonio Conte did at Spurs last season.
Yeah, all right. Perfect. But it's still your best friend, Ali. Anyways.
No, it's yours. It's yours, not my own. It's yours.
You can't take it
from
from
both of you. I'll take it.
You take her. All right. Thank you very much. I know he's a self destroyer. He builds something and destroys himself. That's what he does. I don't know why. It's because even the way he plays back then, he does the same thing when he was playing. Sheffield Wednesday drew against Everton. Everton, like we say week in, week out, are prime for relegation. I hope they get relegated, honestly, this time around. I hope they don't survive this time around. Yeah, I hope they don't survive. They are terrible. Wow. That's also the way to put it. Brentford played 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. And I'm sorry to say that I'm not a footballer myself. I'm not castigating the players, but you can't go around playing at this level the way they do, honestly. So yeah, I want to come to you. Chelsea, for crying out loud, for Pete's sake, at least it's Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge. It's Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge. How bad can it get? I don't care. They are wearing the blue jersey. I don't care. They're wearing the blue jersey. It's Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge. How bad can you get? You are losing at home. And I saw Jackson, and everybody keeps saying it could turn out to be the new drug ban. I'm looking at maybe they will remove the DRO and it's just going to be a bar for Chelsea. Definitely not a drug bar. Definitely not a drug bar. What's happening with these guys? You can actually score a goal, and even please don't make a mess of this team. Don't make a mess of the name. And it goes from bad to worse every season. They spent over 1 billion pounds. Basically on what? On nothing. Bearing Ogochukwu, Chukwuemeka, Madueke Noni, a Modric that they don't even understand how the guy plays, or maybe they just watch YouTube highlights of the guy. You know, buying what? Buying bunch of dreaded guys like me. Chelsea.
Yeah. That's the first thing.
It's just from one issue to another, and you're like, for crying out loud, it's Nottingham Forest. You can't do this to Chelsea. Honestly, I'm appalled. That's the right word to say. What's the right fix for this, Tuji?
So you said they are wearing the blue jersey, for crying out loud. My brother, you know concern jersey. If you like, wear Messi at the back of your shirt. If it's not working, it's not working. It will just be turning on your own. It will just be turning on your own. Let's be realistic. So the first thing is, some things sound like they're not important, but they are. So the first problem I have is 11 players on the pitch, and 7 of them are looking like rap stars. Everybody get that for that team. I'm not understanding it. You get it? I think there might be a discipline problem. I think. Secondly, how do you spend over $1 billion in 2 years? I can't understand it. So it probably means that.
Is it 2 years? 1 year. It's just 1 year. Right? Yeah, just 1 year.
Let's assume we're in another season now. So we just put
3 windows. Just say 3 windows. 3 windows. Right? In 3 windows.
Okay, 3 windows. Yeah, exactly. You spend over $1 billion. So it means you're probably you're just signing up anything. There's really no direction. And that's what you need to understand when Kachi said, Liverpool did a good job in that middle without any fanfare. They understood what they needed. And they went for them quietly, and get this thing done. You've signed Enzo, you've signed Modric, you have Sterling, you've signed Consedo, you've signed I don't know how many matches are you playing per week? So you have too many people there, and I'm not even sure. Is it the coach that is signing or the board?
No, definitely not the coach.
or the owner. And those are where the problems come in.
Definitely, coach.
You understand?
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
you have a coach and you sign a bunch of players that he is not even ready to manage, or he doesn't even understand their style, or he cannot even put them to use. Because you can't say those players are not good players, to be honest. I mean, we've seen them play in other teams. They are decent players. Maybe they are not overly,
Overly,
they're not
yeah.
superstars or whatever it is, but they are decent players to play good football and be able to win Nottingham Forest, like you said. So I would think it's a missing link between the owner of the club, who probably is sanctioning all of this purchase, down to the coaching staff. You understand?
Yeah.
You will remember one thing. So Madrid has a philosophy of signing the players they want, right? That they think would suit the goal of the club. Because, of course, for Madrid, it's an image, basically. There's something you want to put out there.
Mhm.
It's not
Yeah.
just about bringing everybody on board. But you will remember that, you see, you get to a point where you need to make some exceptions. When Mourinho came, they gave Mourinho the opportunity to sign the players he wanted. As a matter of fact, he was allowed to kick out even legends of Madrid.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing at that point. They needed that at that point. Madrid was low in spirit then.
Yeah.
We're getting out of the Champions League second round. It was like,
Yeah.
no, Juventus just cut
Yeah.
off the second round. Both out.
Both.
Leon
Any
is Leon.
both out. So I mean, it was at that point where you needed someone to come in with a system, with a belief. I still tell people today, the 4 Champions League Madrid won after Mourinho. I feel Mourinho should get a medal. Because he brought back the mentality.
The mentality.
Even though he created a lot of enemies, but he created beasts. He created people that wanted to win. Sergio Ramos was not that crazy. He made Sergio Ramos who he was. The mentality changed. Ramos was a fantastic player, but Mourinho put in a different mentality that he didn't care who Xavi was. He didn't care who Sergio was. He didn't care. He just wanted to win for that share. And that's what you need right now. They need to sit down and understand that in a very short time, Chelsea has become a very big club.
Yeah.
For people who are following football for a long time, you will say, oh, Chelsea is still a small club, whatever. But the truth is, in the past 15 years, they've done a lot for themselves, such that we really can't just sit back now and say, oh, let Chelsea just do whatever they want to do. No, Chelsea is a big club right now.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
The bad thing to it is, if they continue in this path, then they're going to see a decline in quality next.
Yeah.
And when that decline in quality starts to come in, you now find it very difficult to sign players.
Yeah.
You're going to start losing sponsorship, and then you start to look like
getting back to that level that you build.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they need to be very careful.
They'll become a Newcastle.
They have a bit of money to push around now. What I think they should do now is they have a new coach. Sit down with this guy. Let him be the one to drive this project, because that is his job anyways. Let him take this project. Let him own it and say, I don't want this guy. Let him go. Then you start to raise. Some of them will go at Banjo price. You know?
Tunji, there's something you are missing out.
Okay.
Now, I agree 100% with everything you've just said, and that's just the basic truth.
Yeah.
I think I've said something on this show a couple of times. Like last season, Chelsea is an example of how not to run a club.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they've continued on the same path.
Absolutely.
Now they started very well by doing some clear outs. They actually scammed United and Arsenal with the Mount and Harvard signing.
Yeah.
That was a daylight robbery. I don't know how those two clubs fell for that. But again, when I felt that they were probably learning their lesson, I think what they should have done was to have used this year as a clear out year.
Yeah.
They should have. They still have a lot of players they need to have.
A lot.
And the problem is the new players they are bringing in. This guy is bringing in this American policy of signing players on 7 years contracts, which is very common with the American football. Even in the NBA, not every player does that, except for players who doesn't really trust their own talents. My problem with Chelsea is I don't think this spending spree is going to continue. What happens if all these signings doesn't gel? Because looking at that team, it doesn't still look balanced, especially in attack. You just look at, I saw Jackson the other day, up for all the noise people have been making about what I saw in him is a clumsy guy. Can you rely on? Of course, Christopher Nkunku is injured. He's going to be back. But still yet, like you rightly said, the coach, and this is where you have to give Man City and Liverpool the kudos. And I think Arsenal is trending towards that line too. There is a proper footballing people behind the scene, which is something that is lacking in United presently. Because I think if you look at ETH signings most times, I don't know whether you guys have observed, is either going for players that played for him in Ajax or that have worked for him in some other clubs before, which for me is an indication that he is probably not getting enough support from the United scouting team. And I think the same thing is happening at Chelsea too. A coach is there on the standalone, like Tunji rightly said, and the owner of the team is just doing his own and just bringing 100 million player every now and then. So they need to have a proper footballing policy and do it like I told you in January that this Modric guy might flop at Chelsea. You didn't agree with me.
No, I knew it was going to flop. I knew it was going to flop at Chelsea, not Arsenal. I said it was going to flop at Arsenal. Now.
So for like Tony rightly said, the team they need to like sit down and face the reality, because the problem they are going to have is the problem United eventually United are currently facing. When you bring players on a long-term contract and you give them ridiculous salaries, when you want to get rid of them, this long-term contract works if those players outperform your expectation. Then you have that long-term contract to keep them under your fold to the time whatever wants to happen. But when it comes to those players not performing and you want to get rid of them, this is what will likely happen. The player might be earning like £180,000, and you want to sell him to, let me say, Brighton that will probably pay him 30,000. If he's not motivated by football, the guy will just prefer to sit down and say, no, I'm not going. I'd rather be collecting my wages, which is the problem United is facing now. United has paid a lot of below average guys ridiculous salaries that they are not motivated to leave the club. They rather want to enjoy their pay and just sit down on the bench, just like Debo's friend at Chelsea one time ago. What's his name? And that is where it will become a problem to them. On those long contracts, those players might just sit down at Stamford Bridge. Okay, let me just be earning this money. I can't take a pay cut to move to, because the only reason why Harry Maguire is not going to West Ham is because of his pay. He wanted United to pay him off as a compensation for going to accept a lower fee at West Ham. Yeah, that's the bottom line. That's why people like Eric Baez are still in that team. Even Johnny Evans stayed for Phil Jones stayed for how many years despite being relevant in that team. When you pay players who doesn't want that amount, some ridiculous money, they will just sit down in that team and be collecting salary.
Yeah, all right. Which I definitely agree with you guys. I remember a press conference of Pochettino, and they were asking him about Malangasa. I was like, Malangasa, who is that? He does not even know. He does not even know the number of players that he have in his squad. It's that bad, and it looks like a strategy that is working. The 7-year contract. There's a reason behind it. It gives them the chance to play around with the FFP or the financial play rule. But in the long run, this player might not stay motivated. It's like you buying a Modric for 100 million euros, for instance. And Modric, you've given him 7 years with an option of a further 1 year. That makes 8 years.
8 years. That's what I'm saying.
And Modric is not looking like he's going to. He's not looking like he's going to cut it for them. So what if he doesn't cut it for them?
To say I want to leave.
Exactly.
It's not even a problem for you.
Exactly. You have like 8 or 10 Modrics in your team. That becomes a major problem.
So
Not
that's where I'm
even
going.
one.
It's not a bad style. It becomes a bad style. Madrid had Gareth Bale in that kind of contract, right?
Hmm.
But it was just Bale, technically.
But just
Maybe
Bill
not just Bale.
exactly.
It was just Bale that was problematic. When Bale left, Hazard was a bit problematic, right? You can have 1, 2. You can have
Two, but
7,
not
8,
7, not 10, not
9.
11.
I mean, it's crazy because you can't sell them. That's the point.
Who wants to buy? Who wants to buy them?
And I
Okay.
think Debo,
Let,
I think
let,
we need
let,
to Debo,
okay.
sorry, before we
Yeah.
go on, I think we need to educate most people. I think there's this misconception about the way contract works. Most
Yeah.
people just feel like clubs can just decide to sell a player. It's a
Oh,
two-way street. You
yeah.
can the player has to
Of
agree to
course.
go.
Oh, no.
In
Yeah.
most cases, when clubs want to sell, the player has to just be like, let me go and play football somewhere else.
Yeah.
But
Somewhere
if the
else.
player
Yeah.
decides not to go, you cannot
It's not
sell
going.
him.
It needs to get
He's
paid.
not going, he's not going.
Why is
I
Nicolas
think
Pepe
there's
still
that
at Arsenal?
misconception around. People just feel like the club single-handedly can sell a player. I
They
think
would have sold
there's
Mbappe
a
if that's
need
the case.
exactly that. And Maguire too is telling Man you that now you can't sell me unless I
Maguire
want
is
to
not going
go.
to go anywhere. If I'm
It's
Maguire,
it's
I'm not going to go
yeah.
anywhere.
It's just
It's just
it's just ridiculous, and I don't know how this is going to last. And I just wanted to buttress what you said about Mourinho. I know I told someone last season. I said if the guy at the end of our affair at Chelsea, I'll bring one person, and that's going to be Jose Mourinho. And that's because I want to keep him at Chelsea for a longer. But I need someone that is ruthless, that'll be able to look all these guys in the eye. He's going to be able to look in the eye of what they call it, the owner. Like, this is not going to happen. This is what I want. It's either you do this or I leave, and he backs it up with results, not just talks. You know, I think Pochettino is a nice guy. That's why they are still
exactly.
training him. Yeah, I think he's a nice guy. Because Chelsea have bought like 12 players, if I'm not mistaken, this season. And off season, they bought like 12 players. And these players are not adding, they are not adding the desired quality. Like you said, they are not bad players, but that
Yeah,
quality
they're not.
of the position of Chelsea right now in Europe, they're not bringing that to the team. Anyways, Man City defeated Fulham thanks to another controversial goal that happened in the first half before coming off that Netanyahu header. But at the end of the day, the result was 5-1. Most people would not take too much to it. If he had ended like 2-1, for instance, it would have been much of a talking point. But 5-1, Alan scoring an hat-trick. We have 3 hat-trick star in the Premier League this weekend. Son scoring an hat-trick against Burnley. Ferguson scoring an hat-trick, of course, against Newcastle. And of course, Eden Haaland scoring an hat-trick against Fulham. And in the Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen, the coach, the future coach of Real Madrid, Xabi Alonso, managed his side to a 5-1 victory against Darmstadt. Borussia Mönchengladbach played the loss against Bayern Munich 1-2. And of course, the new boys held Borussia Dortmund to a 2-2 draw. Don't expect anything from Borussia Dortmund. That's just going to be Borussia Dortmund. And that's the wrap of the show today. My name is Adeja Adeboale. Please, guys, keep supporting us. View our news on our website, watch our shows on YouTube, and of course, visit all our social media handles. News Instanta 1 on Instagram, News Instanta 2 on Twitter, and of course, News Instanta Sport on Facebook. So we'll see you again next week. You guys don't support supporting sports.